What's up, guys? Today we're going to take a dive into the story of Jessica Mast. Now, Jessica Mast was 4 years old when her parents and her neighbors took her life, and they so-called was trying to perform an exorcism. So today we're going to uncover as many details as we can. But before we take a dive into the story today, make sure y'all smash the sub button, smash the like button, and ring the bell so you get notified every single time I post a new video. If you do not follow those 3 simple steps that I just provided to you, I hope the next time you go to the store because you're making biscuits and gravy and you need some biscuits, the can explodes on the way home. When Jessica Mast was discovered in a bedroom by police, she was already deceased. But what they found would shock officers and the world alike, as her fragile body was covered in bruises and had ruptured blisters on her legs. Detectives could also see what they described as belt marks on her body, which could have only came from severe beatings. Her father told the officers that their neighbor Ethan Mast, they're not related, and Courtney Allman had taken their daughter to an icy pond and dunked her in it several times. That water must have been freezing. What kind of person thinks it's okay to do this to a small child, a 4-year-old little girl? Jessica was wrapped up in a blanket and taken to a bedroom back at their house, but the damage was already done, and sadly she did not survive. Ethan and Courtney were partners who lived across the street from Jessica. They were both immediately arrested, then charged with second-degree murder, as well as charges for beating Jessica's kid brother Nathaniel and her mother. Thankfully, the younger brother Justin was found to be unharmed. What could have led to such an unspeakable crime? And how could her parents allow this to happen? Could you imagine any parent standing by and simply watching this abuse take place? These questions were put to James and Mary, as they were also arrested on child endangerment charges, despite their claims that they had been controlled by their neighbors and coerced into following their orders.
Sheriff Eric Knox tells me that he's confident that the department has made all the arrests they need to in this case, but it's the matter of what charges they'll face that's still under investigation. A big part of that will be the autopsy results from Jessica Mast. When those are completed, it could determine that new charges are filed against them.
This is an isolated incident. Some people tried to say that this was a cult because they've used the word demon. And obviously demon and God in the same sentence, would cause speculation for imaginations to run wild. But there's no evidence of anything other than this family and, basically 2 families.
In a town like Lincoln with only 19,000 residents, rumors and gossip can spread quite quickly. Many people talked about the neighbors being part of some kind of cult or something, but these rumors have been denied by the local police. The police would say these rumors are nothing more than speculation. The Gospel-Light Fellowship in Lincoln have distanced themselves from these rumors, and they've also held vigils in Jessica's memory.
Neighbors in Benton County honored the girl's memory last night with a vigil. Court documents say she was found dead at the family home on December 20th. She'd been severely beaten and dunked in an icy pond as part of what appeared to be a religious-type episode.
I just hope that if anybody has any inkling that anything like that is going on in someone's life, that they would step in and take the right measures, contact someone, get them help.
The sick campaign of abuse against Jessica began weeks before she died. The horrible things that this poor little girl and her brother must have gone through in that time are completely heartbreaking to even think about. Both Jessica's parents and their neighbor attended the same church, and James Mast claimed that the couple had told them Mary had been possessed by a demon and was in danger of passing that demon on to others. From here, they begin what they call discipline, which is a twisted excuse for severe beatings. And these were not just restricted to Jessica either. The parents were forced to watch as Jessica and her little brother were subjected to beatings. Surveillance cameras were also placed inside the Mast home by Ethan and Courtney, and this allowed them to spy on the family whenever they wanted. They had absolutely no privacy in that house anywhere. They were constantly living under the watchful eye of people who may and try and harm them if they didn't do what they wanted. It was almost like they were living in prison inside their own home. Why they didn't cry for help remains a mystery. The Mask family could be eating dinner or just relaxing together watching TV, and Ethan and Courtney could just walk inside their home. They didn't even need a reason to do this. They probably just made one up so they'd have this excuse to deliver their sick forms of punishment. And to cover their tracks, they would disconnect the cameras, making sure there was no video evidence and no witnesses. During all of this, James was forced to watch or face punishment himself. It's really sad to think about the horrors that these children must have gone through during this time. Horrors that their parents allowed to happen. Things would only get worse from here. December 19th of 2020, Ethan and Courtney both returned to the Mast house for one last day of terror. This time, James and Mary were also told to harm their children. After a long day of beatings, some with her own father's leather belt, Jessica would be taken to the local pond. Here, Ethan and Courtney and even James would play a part in dunking her into the pond. And the water was freezing. And all this cruel abuse they claimed was some kind of exorcism, and it ultimately cost this little girl her life. Both the neighbors and Jessica's parents would stand before the judge and face the consequences of their terrible actions.
One by one, 3 of those accused of playing a part in the death of Jessica Mast came to court. Her parents, James and Mary Mast, remain in jail for allegedly letting their neighbors, Ethan Mast and Courtney Aumann, abuse them for weeks.
For their crimes, Ethan and Courtney both were charged with second-degree murder and 3 counts of first-degree assault, plus more. Jessica's parents are facing charges of child endangerment along with several others. They were also forbidden from attending Jessica's funeral.
Yeah, Brian, criminal complaints for the 4 adults charged in this case paint an absolutely horrifying picture of what was going on in that house.
They have also lost custody of Nathaniel and Justin, who have both been placed in the safety of foster care, free from abuse and hopefully onto happy and healthy lives. One thing I have noticed in this case is the behavior of Mary Mast, the mother. As she leaves the courtroom, Mel Pleasant, who was there that day, described how hard it was to see the suspects face to face. Speaking of Jessica's mother, she said she'd laughed that day when she left the courtroom. And I find absolutely nothing funny, not one thing about this case, about her daughter's death. I don't know about y'all, but something about that smile completely creeps me out. Both James and Mary have maintained that they were forced into their actions, or in this case, lack of actions, after being beaten and threatened. But that smile tells me something totally different altogether. Mel Pleasant was not only there that day to observe, she had came as part of a group that is to help others find justice.
Tiffany Hill and Mel Pleasant are advocates for child victims in Springfield. With her parents in jail, the two say it's important someone stand up for what happened to Jessica.
Jessica Mast may have had her life tragically cut short, but it is comforting to know that some in the community refused to let her memory fade and fought for the justice that she deserves. It is possible that through manipulation and by taking advantage of the Mast religious ideas, their neighbors may well have managed to convince this couple into committing these shocking crimes. In court papers, Mary had said that their neighbors had been religiously motivated.
The only thing we have is what they're telling us, and they were doing it in the name of discipline. You know, disciplining the family was their quote. There's a huge difference between discipline and people.
Ethan and Courtney didn't see themselves as beating an innocent girl. They saw themselves beating a demon. To justify their actions in this way only makes this case even more disturbing. Could you watch as someone did this to your children? Something doesn't seem right, and we may never know exactly what. What we do know is that Ethan Mast pleaded guilty as part of a plea agreement. This will see him face fewer charges. One for first-degree murder and the other for first-degree assault. Not only this, it will see him face a life sentence of up to 30 years, but with a chance of parole in 10. Despite Courtney being implicated as encouraging the abuse against Jessica, her attorneys were trying to paint a very different picture of her.
Courtney comes from a good family in Pennsylvania. She's got no prior criminal history. She's very devout in her beliefs and religion.
At the time of making this video, none of these 4 individuals have yet been sentenced, but there is no doubt they will all face the punishment that they deserve, and hopefully it's a lengthy stretch in prison. Let me know what y'all think about this case in the comments. I would like to hear y'all's input on this. Well, that's it for today, guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this story. Well, not really enjoyed this story. I hope y'all enjoyed me telling this story, because it's a horrible story. But I would like to take this time and thank every single one of you that have subscribed. This channel has grown so fast. I wasn't even expecting it to grow this fast. I really haven't been sharing anything, but I guess the YouTube algorithm has just boosted my videos and put it in front of a bunch of people, because I've grown to 300 and something subs in a month, and that is insane to me. But I love every single one of y'all. Make sure y'all hit the sub button, hit the like button, and ring the bell. I love y'all, and I will catch y'all on the next one.